Okay, let's take this thing from the top. Peter B. Parker is the next figure in the Stilt-Man Marvel Legends wave that we're going to be looking at today, the Build-A-Figure wave for the Stilt-Man. Included with Peter B. Parker is Stilt-Man's smug, smiling face. That's a really fun sculpt. He's also got a big head. But then again, that's just in comparison to this figure, who's obviously very specifically sculpted based on an animated movie. Why do I keep calling him Peter B. Parker, you ask? That's Spider-Man. Nope, it's Peter B. Parker. This figure is based off of the alternate universe Peter from the movie Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. The main Peter we spend the majority of the film with. Specifically how he looks shortly after Miles finds him. He first stumbles upon him in the cemetery at Peter Parker's grave. Peter Parker mentors Miles Morales, an all-new Spider-Man, to understand the importance of power and responsibility. There he is. Look at him. His goofy little face. So yeah, this is based on the movie Into the Spider-Verse, and specifically the Peter we spend the majority of the film with, and they've gone for, in terms of the design, they've gone for how he looks like at the beginning of the film. Oh, at the beginning of his appearance to us, the viewer, which is him in borrowed sweatpants, mismatched sneakers, a big overcoat, the upper half of his Spider-Man costume, 5 o'clock shadow, scruffy hair. But they've also given us the option to have him be a little more Spider-Man. He's got Spider-Man hands, alternate hands, and a clean-shaven, pulling on the mask Spider-Man face, should you wish to depict him a little bit more put together. Speaking of put together, let's take this box apart and have a look at Peter B. Parker. Oh boy, we got a mixed bag with this one. Let's take a little look. First off, we have the Stilt-Man Build-A-Figure part with Peter B. Parker, which is Stilt-Man's smug-looking grin. You know what? That is a cool-looking customer, considering his name is Stilt-Man. But yeah, a very cool-looking piece. Can't wait to add that to the collection. Right, let's take a look at Peter B. Parker's accessories. The figure comes packaged with gloveless hands, one sort of neutral one with the cartoony elongated design with the fingers and everything. This one comes curved to fit the extra accessory, which is a soft drink. I guess they didn't have a breakfast burger. But yeah, the soft drink's quite nice. Rubbery plastic, so less chance of it getting broken, but still take care of it. It's one of those kind of things, you need to look after it. He comes packaged with 2 Spider-Man balled up fist action hands and 2 thwip hands. The head that the figure comes with when packaged is 5 o'clock Shadow Peter, which is a really, really good likeness of the character in the film. Like, spot on likeness. Paint job is amazing, especially on the 5 o'clock shadow. The eyes are phenomenal. You know how, like, with the MCU sort of figure, sometimes the eyes miss because it's all part of, like, the way they print the colours and everything. Animated figure, not a goddamn error at all. Looks amazing. Now, let's take a look at Peter B. Parker himself. Oh, it's a tough one. He's a great looking figure. I'm sure you can tell that immediately. He is a great looking figure. No issues with the paint, the sculpt. The sculpt does hamper it somewhat, however. I'm not going to move him around too much because I kind of don't want to, you know... I kind of don't want to play with fire, but the ankles are, you know, nice, thin, wispy little ankles. They are so loose. The neck is a separate piece. Like, the neck and the body are a separate piece, which makes me wonder. You know, this little paunch, which makes me wonder, because they've got the hands sculpted and everything. Are they planning on maybe doing a further release with Peter Parker, the main one from this dimension, with you know, a slimmer build and a Spider-Man neck? Because here's the thing, the neck is a separate piece and it's really, really flimsy. The head doesn't move too well on the neck, so you've got to be really freaking careful with it. Oh, the risks are too high. So I think with this one, it's once you've picked a pose. Once your Peter P. Parker has picked a pose, stick with it. Sculpt of this head is great. And because it's a clean-shaven Peter, it's one of the reasons I'm thinking that they're probably going to do the blonde main universe version at some point. The mask looks fantastic with the distinct eyes from the film. So, the torso is Spider-Man with a slight gut. It's a really nice sculpt version of the suit. Swivel at the waist of the tracksuit bottoms. The crotch joint is actually really smooth. Because this is all original sculpt. You're not going to see like these legs on any of the Marvel Universe figure, really. Sweatpants look nice, just sort of simple colour all over. The boots are mismatched, and I guarantee that even though they're based on the ones he's wearing in the film, they'll be from other Marvel Legends figures, no doubt. And I know obviously he stole the shoes, so they're not necessarily going to be... Like, he gets them out of a dumpster. They're not necessarily going to be matching, but one of them is... let's try and get some focus here. One of them is way bigger than the other. And even though the figure is quite a tiny build, I don't remember him having tiny feet, so it's hard for him to balance because of how thin and Jack Skellington-like he is. And the pegs this wave have been really shallow, so sticking him on bases isn't really going to help either, because the pegs have barely any depth to them, which sucks. Coat and arms... Like the coat's the only piece that isn't on the figure is the coat. So if you remove the coat, you'd have a Spider-Man torso with green arms, and the arms are articulated fine. All standard Marvel Legends articulation. It's just those thin, wispier joints. I mean, look, I'm trying to get him to stand. It's I think with this one, it's going to be once I've picked a pose, that's it. Like, he ain't changing. I like him. I just those little nitpicks are making it really tough to love him. Let's take a look at him in his alternate form. This is how I'm likely to have him displayed. Really tricky getting him to balance on his feet. If I can find a stand where the peg is shallow enough to make it work, then I'm probably gonna have to do that just to give him some extra support. But him and his kind of like, you know, shooting the shiz, teaching Miles the ropes kind of pose. That works fine. That looks good. So far, the toughest figure in the wave to love. But it's also experimental. I can't blame Hasbro for it, and I can't necessarily blame, you know, sweet innocent Peter B. Parker here for it. He's an experiment. Like, they don't normally do figures like this in the Marvel Legends wave, so not a bad start. It's got me a little worried about Miles, so join me next time. I'm going to take a swig of my tea, and we look at Miles Morales in the next video. Till then, let me know what you think of this figure. Do you have it? Would you like it? Is there another version of this character out there that sort of has been pulled off better? Also, down below in the description is my Amazon wishlist. If you want to buy a toy from there to get a shout out and have me review it here on the channel, you can. You're, of course, under no obligation to do so. I review stuff whenever I buy it or I'm gifted it. And as always, if you like the video, subscribe. If you don't like the videos, still subscribe.